And make it 0 for 5 on the day on die rolls. But considering that we're going for the 5-0, really not much need to complain. Well, Sand has one thing going for it and one thing only, but it is a keep. If I get Thought Seized, I'm going to cry pretty hard, but can't really afford to mulligan this. Raging Ravine, huh? So this looks like Jund. I can beat Jund. Oh, yes, yes. This hand is suddenly fantastic. Assuming I don't get Thought Seized again. Even if I do, it's not the end of the world. Nothing. Alright. Now we get to go Berserk. Dredge. Oh yes. This game looks over before it began. Let's Cathartic. Pitching a couple cards. This is the nut draw, folks. Not that it's like impossible to lose from this point, but very unlikely. Especially main deck, because Jund generally just doesn't have the tools to fight you. They have to resort to using 1/1 removal on all of your recursive creatures, which everything except the Narcomoeba is. Okay, that is better than last fail right now. Not by a ton though. Let's go ahead and Dredge. Haunted Dead's not bad. What's my best course of action here? How many dredgers are in the yard right now? Not many actually, they're all in my hand. So I could Conflagrate now, we have a backup. Do I care about Liliana? Not that much. Might just want to go after his life total. The problem here is, if we want to use Conflagrate on the Liliana, we have to direct it all at her, so we can't split the damage, like one at Liliana, the rest at him, because we have to target him with all of the damage and then redirect it, and we can't like split it up anyway. So we'd have to Conflagrate for one, which is not fantastic use of Conflagrate. But maybe that Liliana is annoying enough that it's worth it just to do it for one. Pitch one of these dredgers. Don't know if that's correct, but let's try it. My play for the turn wouldn't be that great anyway, because we could just like looting with no value, which I don't really want to do. So we'll do that, redirect the damage to Lily, attack Lily for one, play a tap land, always yield, yes, always yield. See if this is good enough. You can Bloodbraid Elf if you want to, my friend. Dark Confidant, that's fine too. Let's Dredge. See, can we assemble lethal damage this turn? We're attacking for 6, 8, 10, 12. So we need to have a 7 damage Conflagrate, assuming he has no removal. We're gonna loam regardless. Target some untapped lands. Boom, boom. How many basic mountains are left in my deck? None. So I guess I shouldn't play my land yet. No, I guess I have to if I want to pre-combat this. Okay, yeah, he's seen enough. Even if we weren't able to kill him that turn, it was very unlikely he was going to be able to come back. Alright, so against Jund, Don't need to change much, except that he's bringing in some hate of his own. So we're going to want to bring in some artifact or enchantment destruction. So abrupt decay for sure. Probably some lightning axes on the draw. Generally I don't care that much about his creatures, but like if a Bob goes unchecked, or like a fast Goyf or Tassiger, could be a problem. Maybe Golgari Charm if I think he has Anger of the Gods. I guess the -1/-1 can take out Bob, but that's not really good enough reason to bring it in. I've also considered Duress, but I don't really want to get into a grindy 1-for-1 fight against Jund. It's not usually a good plan. I still want to have my busted potential going. So I think I just want to do like a light thing like this. Do the same trim I've been doing. I'm going to keep all my Life from the Loams, I think, because I do want the card advantage against Jund. So we'll trim a Thug instead. Then I'll cut a land, attack more salvage, and we are bringing the axes, so I could maybe afford to trim on like a Faithless Looting or a Neonate. I think I'll cut a Looting. I do like looting against Jund though, because that's a way to refuel once they've stripped your hand away, because it just sits in your graveyard and gives you value. Assuming they don't have like a passive like Grafdigger's Cage or something in play. So maybe Neonate's worse. I think I'll trim a Neonate. Don't know if that's correct. Maybe I just trim another Conflagrate and keep all of my fast stuff, because Conflagrate isn't that great either. Again, it takes out Bob, but it isn't really a matchup where we have to especially if he's bringing in Graveyard Hate, Conflagrate gets worse. So I think this makes some sense. So I mean, this hand is good if they don't have a Thoughtseize or a piece of Graveyard Hate. I think it's still a keep. And I also think I'm gonna, well, it depends on what I draw and what he does, but I might play this Dagmar Salvage on turn 1. Twilight Mire, Grafdigger's Cage. Alright, so we did have the hate, fair enough. So we're gonna have to find something to deal with that. Let's play Salvage. Or Confidant, yeah, so pretty ideal start for him, unfortunately. So we're gonna Cathartic, pitching 2 Dredgers, and then I'm just gonna naturally draw to try to find a piece of artifact destruction. Tarmogoyf. Game's already not looking great, but play it out, see as much of his deck as possible. No third land. Just draw. Cast a Looting. So I'll say cancel. Cancel. Still nothing, huh? Alright, pitch Bloodghast and Narcomoeba. Play an Insolent Neonate. That does nothing. Not sure how many pieces of hate you can really expect to see out of Jund. He's making me discard. Sure. Let's pitch this Loam. We will not dredge again. Haunted Dead, not great, but I guess we can hard cast that at least. I'll just pitch an Archamoeba. Taking a bit of damage. So not only are we going to need to find the answer to that Grafdigger's Cage, but we're going to have to actually, you know, win the game after that. So I don't like my chances much. Alright, well there's step one. I guess we Abrupt Decay the cage. And then we see, because now even though we got the cage problem solved, we still have to reckon with a Bob and a Goyf threatening our life total. But I don't think there's a world where we can afford to go after the Dark Confidant. We have to get that cage off the table to have any chance. Black-green. And then cast Neonate. The question is, do I dredge now off of Thug before I use the Bloodghast in case I find any prized amalgams? But the problem is I wouldn't be able to block, and our life total is starting to get pretty low. So I don't think I can afford to. At the very least, we'll be able to use this Haunted Dead at some point in the near future. So we have a chance, but we're not... Ooh, Scavenging Ooze is also a problem. At the very least, the Twilight Mirror means he's going to have to pop it immediately, unless he finds another green source. Because he can float a green and then activate, but he can't move into another phase. However, that does also mean that he can just attack before playing the Scavenging Ooze, and I have to decide whether or not I want to use this Neonate now and risk filling my graveyard with stuff that I don't really want him to be able to take out with the Scavenging Ooze. Very interesting. Well, looks like he's going to do it now. So this might work out for me. Maybe he's just going after Faithless Looting. Nope. Alright, so again, he's going to put me to the test, but I think I am going to respond. So I'm going to fall down to 5. I don't really want to go to 3. I don't really want to go to below 6 either, but we kind of have to do what we got to do here. Discard and then dredge. Okay. We're doing alright here. We're taking a bit of damage though. Alright, so now we have to decide what to dredge with. I guess just Stinkweed Imp. If I find a Conflagrate, I'll still be able to do it for 3 to take out these two. But I guess the problem then becomes we're dead to that Goyf. But either, maybe if we find a couple Narcomoebas or something. No such luck. No Conflagrate either. So what's my plan? I guess I just have to like looting and hope for the best. What am I looking for though at this point? We need Narcomoebas to block essentially, but there's only 2 left in our deck. We can hardcast a Thug post-combat, but that would require me to shock myself. And that's not good enough, because then he still has another lethal body. We could play Thug and then get back Haunted Dead right now, which would give me 2 blockers. It'd also get back 2 amalgams. So that means I die to a removal spell, which he's very likely to have at this point. think that's really my only option, though. Attack for 2. Activate this. Pitching these 2. The Amalgam's entering tapped is a problem here. We do get a spirit token. I mean, if we get to untap, then maybe we can start to do things, but not optimistic. Liliana the Last Hope. It's not lethal, unless he has an untap land, in which case it would be. Ooh, going to combat, I don't mind that. So we'll chump chump. Bolt still kills me. If he's making this attack, it seems likely that that's what's going on. Yep, just a bolt. Alright, fair enough. Well, that game was still close, even though we had to make suboptimal lines to try to beat that that stupid thing. So now we can consider Nature's Claim. I think I can consider cutting one or both of these lightning axes now, because I don't care as much about his creatures now that I'm on the play. So let's bring in Nature's Claim, just to be on the safe side. And then I can bring in either Conflagrate, bring the land back in, bring in a Dark Blast, which would allow me to still maintain the engine while also giving me an answer to Dark Confidant, potentially Scavenging Ooze, because there is a way to be tricky with this and double Dark Blast in a turn. Not that that's super likely, especially when we would need double black, which our deck isn't going to have very often. Maybe I just split the difference and keep one of these axes in. Keep all these on the bench. And we still have a fair number of answers to a potential cage, and it's not like he's going to have it every game. I think I'm okay with it like this. I'll be on the play. This hand can answer a cage, but this hand is also very bad against discard spell, so I'm gonna mulligan this. This hand's better. See what's on top of our deck. He mulliganed also. Bloodghast can stay on top. He goes to the bottom. No cage, he does have an Inquisition. Might as well do this now. I mean, he's gonna get to discard it either way, but this way I guess we get to keep all of our lands in hand. Double Bloodghast and an Archimedes, that's actually not the worst. And funny enough, it's actually a benefit that we're discarding this Life from the Loam. Gives me another free dredge. So things worked out better than expected. Now we just need to worry about a potential, like, Anger of the Gods or something like that. Dredge. Ooh, hello, Prized Amalgam. Yes. Yes. I'll just loan back a Blood Crypt. Using the green. Attack for 1. It's not a bad start. Let's see what he's working with. Alright, 5-0. Not a bad start at all. So yeah, Dredge is still good. This deck is especially better when people aren't talking about it, Right now I think people are focused on decks like Lantern, so they're packing their sideboards with cards like Stony Silence, and if they skimp on the Graveyard Hate, this deck can fly under the radar and just totally wipe the floor with people. As you saw, we lost every die roll and still just destroyed people, mostly because of favorable matchups, but you know, this deck's just super powerful. We didn't even draw like especially well most of the games. We just drew like moderately well, poorly in a couple games, good in a couple games, like nothing out of the ordinary. But I'm very happy with this deck, definitely playing it in Phoenix, and you should definitely give it a try yourself if you're looking to get an edge in the modern format.